Hello and welcome to my podcast. This week we return to our series on the 9 accelerators for a successful retirement. This is the 8th out of 9 episodes and I'm going to be talking about legacy planning. If you've missed the first 7 episodes, check out the show notes on our website, theretirementcafe.co.uk, or of course where you get your podcast from to find links directly to each episode. As it's been a few months since we released an episode on this series, I thought it might be helpful to put this episode into context. The 9 accelerators form the framework we use in my retirement planning firm, MFP Wealth Management, to be sure we address all the areas of planning that allow someone to retire with confidence, clarity, and choice about how you spend your retirement. We call this framework our Retirement Success Program. As always with this series, my wife and co-director Kathy sits in the interview seat as we discuss what legacy planning means and what I believe should be included as a part of your planning. Welcome back, Kathy.
Thank you. It's good to be back. It's been a while. Good stuff. So today we are going to talk about legacy planning, as you said. And I thought maybe there might be some people listening, perhaps I'm one of them, who's wondering what the difference is between estate planning and legacy planning. So perhaps you could start by defining the two for us.
Absolutely. Well, it's a great question. And both estate planning and legacy planning have got to do with planning for your assets upon your death. The terms are often used interchangeably, but for me, estate planning focuses more on your assets, while legacy planning tends to focus more on the intangible assets. In my opinion, it's about leaving behind a legacy that makes a difference, where it matters most to you.
Okay, so that can include deciding where your money and your assets will go after your death then?
Yes, it does, but it can be far more than that. Let's just define what estate planning is to help clarify the difference here. For me, the aim of estate planning is to reduce the burden on your loved ones at the end of your life and after you've gone. So that ensures making sure that your will, your expression of wish, your powers of attorney, and any trusts are up to date and current. This should allow you to die organised. So, for example, maybe like your dad, Malcolm, he was unbelievably organised in his life. And of course, when you came to deal with his estate and his affairs, it made life significantly easier, didn't it? Because of how organised he'd left everything.
Absolutely. I mean, if people can do that, then that's really helpful for those left behind.
So estate planning involves working with experts in tax, wills and trusts to have up-to-date documents and your wealth structured tax efficiently.
Okay, great. So that's a better explanation perhaps of estate planning. Maybe tell us more then about what legacy planning involves.
Well, let me ask you a question. Are you sure that your legacy will benefit the people and causes that matter most to you? On a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is I haven't even thought about it, to 10 being my executors will have absolute clarity on who is to benefit, where do you sit currently?
Oh, there's a question. Well, I have got a will and it is up to date, but to be fair, I've not given much further thought to anything aside from that really. And, it really has been to date just about making sure that my children, well, yourself, if I'm not here, and then our children, receive what we own. But I haven't thought a lot further than that.
No, absolutely. And a lot of people wouldn't. So, I mean, I wouldn't fault you for that. But hopefully you've got many more years ahead of you, having to seriously consider who else or which causes you would like to benefit. But that's what I call legacy. That's what legacy planning is all about.
Right. Okay. So that makes sense. So, I can see now how leaving a legacy might not be just about the money for some or many people.
No. And, the legacy, I think, is very much more about not just the existing, not just about your assets. It's about about the values that you might want to leave behind. It might be that you're leaving a trust fund and you have a letter of wishes with that trust fund that is there for the education and the improvement of maybe your children or grandchildren and great-grandchildren's lives. And then, of course, there could be specific charities that you want to benefit, and in a certain way. So there's a whole lot of things to be considering about not only making sure you're, as I say, the estate planning, that everything's in order, but actually how you want your affairs administered and who you want to receive it at what time and for what purpose.
Absolutely. So, reflecting then on that for myself, I think, the work that we do around the life planning work, that's part of a legacy there of really wanting to help people have successful lives. And hopefully the impact that we both have on people through that work will leave, in essence, some kind of legacy. And then even just thinking about our children, it's about, for me, it's about bringing them up to be well-adjusted people, kind, empathetic, able to communicate well, and hopefully in some respect that then is also a legacy. Your children, in essence, and the way they behave and how they operate in the world can be a legacy in some respects.
Yeah, absolutely. And the lessons learned, of course, from your parents and your grandparents and the people who have gone before you, I think is a legacy that you're leaving behind.
Yeah, absolutely. So, many people then, for many people, leaving a legacy might involve leaving money to charity. What should people consider when it comes to charitable giving after you're gone?
So, yes, many people will leave money to a charity, and the beauty is that any gifts to charity through your will fall outside of your estate. And what's more, if you leave 10% or more of the value of your estate to charity, the rest of your estate is only liable for inheritance tax at a rate of 36% instead of the usual 40%. And this is for your taxable estate, which is in essence above your nil rate band. It's also worth considering which charitable causes have meaning to you. That could be a health-focused charity, for example, a cancer charity or a dementia charity. This may be one that has helped you or a loved one during your lifetime. I know that cancer research benefited from £182 million donations in people's wills in 2018. That's nearly on 30% of that charity's income. And of course, the RNLI, that was one close to my heart. We live by the sea, and I was a volunteer on the Mudford lifeboat crew for 10 years. And 70% of lifeboat launches are only possible due to gifts left in wills.
Wow.
The RNLI will even look to name a boat after you if that's important to you, if your donation is significant.
Wow. So it's massively important, isn't it, for charities, which is probably why we see so many adverts, of on various different forums of have you considered what you're going to do, what you're going to leave in your will. So yeah, that's understandable. So I've been thinking whilst you've been talking about how important leaving a legacy is, whether that's a financial one or some other type of legacy. But then surely if it's so important, surely we shouldn't be waiting until we're dead before considering how to leave a legacy, financial or otherwise.
Well, it's an interesting one, that, isn't it? The death is the final stage of our journey, but actually, who can we impact now? And also, is it right? Is it right to just give a lump sum to a charity, or is it actually better off to gift them money on a regular basis over a period of time so that they know that flow of money is coming through, so the charity can actually maybe plan? And then, of course, actually is the things that you can do for the charity yourself. Are you better off giving them a gift of cash or actually putting your time and resources and your vitality into that charity yourself? So, there's so many different ways that you can impact a charity going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, I know people who have given away money or given gifts in their lifetime because they wanted to see the impact that would have.
Yeah.
And I think that's that's massively important as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I remember. I think it was a client of ours who was quite impacted during his youth by a football team, a local boys football team that had, that really helped him, and the coaching helped him, etc. He didn't become a professional footballer. It was just a really good thing to have in his community. That football club or youth football team is still going. And he bought them a bus. He bought them a minibus to allow the coaches to go to away games, etc. What an impact that would have been on that club.
Brilliant. Oh, what a fantastic example. So if people are going to be kind of giving money or gifts or whatever away during their lifetime, instead of waiting until, these things pop up in their will, what do you need to consider when giving gifts in your lifetime? From a tax point of view, I suppose.
Well, the key thing is charities can reclaim tax themselves if you are a taxpayer. But of course, if you're a high rate taxpayer, you can reclaim high rate tax relief on that gift as well. If the gift is made by a company, that can be an offset against corporation tax. And also, write it down actually, so that when whoever's coming to do your final accounts for your estate actually can understand who you've given what to and when. And charitable gifts are obviously just as important to record as well as gifts to individuals.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. So finally, I think, if legacy planning is about making sure your legacy benefits the people and causes that matter most to you, what steps should people take to make sure they've got a good plan in place that they're happy with?
Well, I think the key thing, of course, is cash flow. We always do a cash flow for everybody who we work with, which is understanding, okay, so at what point can I give things away and feel sure that I've still got enough to provide for my lifetime and for the lifetime maybe of my spouse. So, we never know who's going to go first. And you could have a scenario where, one of the partnership, one of the couple dies in their 70s and the other one lives to, over 100. So making, it's the old age problem of making sure that we've got enough resources. We know that the work we do, that people go, what's one of the greatest outcomes of the work that we do? And it's kind of reassurance, it's clarity, and it's confidence that they're okay. But once they know they're okay, then they can start doing things with their money that is more empowering to them. And that, as I say, maybe giving stuff away early or even helping their children out early. So there's a lot of dynamics to it, of course. And of course, as you go through your life and you get closer to that date of death, which, I don't know what someone's date of death is going to be. All I do know is that we're getting closer to it every moment of the day. Therefore, as we move through our 80s and 90s, you know that your life expectancy is becoming less, which allows you to then reassess that cash flow model to understand, okay, is it actually now we can make a gift to somebody or do something because we still feel secure that we're going to have enough for the rest of our lifetime?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think on a non-financial front, actually kind of coming into those earlier stages of retirement, I think this is something we touched upon on the first episode, on the first Accelerator, all around having a purpose and having a vision and having an idea of what you want your retirement to look like, and incorporating into that those things that are in the non-financial or less tangible, I suppose, elements of what makes for your legacy, and building those into how you live your retirement, how you live those later years.
Yeah, all hugely important. And it's a little bit of navel gazing. It's a little bit of quiet time to actually really consider this latter part of your life and what impact you want to make or have on it from the time that you are still alive, and obviously the time after your death.
Yeah, absolutely. Great, good stuff.
I think that's kind of brings that nicely rounded to the end, Kathy. I think we've covered the difference between legacy and estate planning today. I hope you found our conversation helpful. If any questions have popped up for you as you've been listening to, or in fact, if you've been watching on YouTube, or you'd like a second opinion on your legacy plan, please don't hesitate to get in touch and I'll do my best to answer. You can reach me, of course, as normal on email at hello@theretirementcafe.co.uk or via Twitter at JustinKingCFP. Now, I've referenced quite a few other podcasts in this episode that you might want to listen to delve into more more detail about certain topics, so check out the show notes for all of those links, as well as links to other episodes in the 9 Accelerators series. You'll find the video versions on, as I said, on my YouTube channel. Just search for Justin King MFP. As always, if you've enjoyed this podcast, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts to help more people like you find us. Or obviously share this episode with someone that you feel may benefit. It really does help. There's one more episode in this series, which is coming out in a few weeks' time. So until next time, I'm Justin King, helping you feel more informed in your retirement.